Mm.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's investor webinar on the merger of equals between Electrum Discovery and MinRex Resources. I'm Jamie Hyland, and it's my pleasure to host this important discussion. Today's presentation will cover the strategic rationale for the merger, expected synergies, leadership vision, transaction timeline, implications of the ASX listing, and a live Q&A session. Joining me are Dr. Elena Clarici, CEO, President, Executive Chairman of Electrum, and James Pearse, Director of MinRex. Before we begin, please note this call is being recorded and a replay will be available via a link on the Electrum website after today's event. Let's get started. I'll start with a brief overview of today's agenda. We'll begin with a corporate overview and a strategic reasoning behind the merger of equals, followed by a discussion of combined companies' strengthened portfolio and leadership structure. Then we'll move into specific aspects such as capital structure, the ASX listing implications, and value creation. We'll conclude with a live Q&A. Okay, so we're going to start with Dr. Clarici, and thank you for joining us. Please share with investors the high-level strategic rationale for this merger and what it means for both companies.
Well, Jamie, thank you. Thank you for moderating and hosting this webinar. And I would like to thank everybody who joined early in the morning in North America, late in Australia, and for us, late afternoon for us in Europe. Very exciting times for the company, for Electrum, very exciting future. And it's really my pleasure to see such a positive response from the shareholders, both not only on this webinar, but also in the share price has been going from strength to strength. What was the rationale? I mean, I had, as most of you know, because I have a close relation with most of my shareholders, that I've been quite frustrated that our work, our assets are not seeing the full value as they should. So really the motivation was to find a solution in addition to the good work that we are doing in the field, to do something else to help us come to the place where we should be in terms of our share price and our market cap. This year or the last year, because of the BHP program, I had the privilege to be quite often in Australia, and I started to realize how much more Australian market or Australian stock exchange is valuing Serbian opportunities, and the similar kind of companies of our size are trading at the multiples of what was our market cap. And that's how I started to look into possibilities, what we could do, whether we spin off some of our assets or we merge with another company. And as you do, then you start looking, speaking to people, and that kind of vision of mine was shared with the MinRex team, and that's how we started to talk about merging the company back 3 months ago, as James Pearse will confirm. So we're very excited with the future, because what we're already seeing is the recognition of us merging. So we're creating a new company, or the combined company will be well capitalized with quite a nice balance sheet for a junior exploration company. Our asset base will expand. So from current 700,000 ounces, we'll have close to 1 million ounces equivalent when you add into account MinRex Gold project in Australia. We are eventually going only to trade on ASX, which is a great market with a great liquidity, great relation. What I really was so impressed with, the relation between the brokers and the companies, even on the very junior end. In Canada, we do have obviously great relation, but more on a senior and a mid-range. The junior end is totally left on their own, while in Australia there is still very lots of support and a lot of interaction between the brokers and the companies. So I think between, and last but not the least, we are also expanding our team. So it's not that we are getting only money, we're also expanding the team. The board is changing or being expanded, the management. And that will all help to really see the full value and the full potential of the assets that we have and all the work that we've done over the last couple of years. Would
Thank you
that,
very much.
yep.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it was just like if I'm, if that's enough for this question, or I mean, I
Okay.
can carry
Yeah.
on like this, but
Okay. No problem. Thank you. James, from a MinRex perspective, can you elaborate on the complementary nature of the combined assets and teams and what this means strategically?
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. And I want to start by saying thanks very much for allowing me to join the webinar. It really is a pleasure to be joining you and Elena on this. Elena touched on this when she gave the introduction. We've been talking about this transaction now for months, so it's really exciting for me, and I'm sure for Elena as well, to finally be telling you guys and telling the market about this transaction and why we think it's a fantastic opportunity for both groups of shareholders. So maybe to answer your question, I'll start by explaining what attracted us to Electrum in the first place. So really, for us, it all started with the high-grade advanced project at Tlamino. It's got almost 700,000 ounces of gold equivalent resources. It's super high grade. It's nearly 3 grams a ton gold equivalent. And the project has the benefit of both defined resources and a historic economic study. Now, that economic study was done a few years ago when the gold price was $1,500 an ounce. And so that makes Tlamino a really advanced stage gold project, which at today's gold prices and with enough capital to properly progress it, we think offers a really fantastic opportunity for value creation in the short term. And we'll look to do that with a dual strategy of both resource growth drilling and discovery drilling around the existing Barre deposit. We're super encouraged by the work Elena and her team have done there, and we've already been working with them to plan to put together the program for this year, and we're really looking forward to hitting the ground running. Now, along with Tlamino, Electrum's obviously also got the Timok East Copper Project. It's right next door to Zijin. It's another fantastic project, and it offers really exciting potential for another significant bore-style copper discovery. Again, Elena and her team have done some fantastic work on the project, and we were also very encouraged by the interest shown by BHP as part of the Explore program recently. But we are conscious, Timok, it's an earlier stage project. It's a genuine exploration project, and more work's needed to be done to truly understand and unlock the potential of that ground. It's very exciting, but there is some more work ahead. And so that's Electrum. Now with MinRex, Elena touched on this, but we have a portfolio of gold and base metal projects in the Lachlan Fold Belt here in New South Wales in Australia. It's a great region. There's some huge copper gold mines in the region and majors like Newmont, Evolution, and Alkane operating nearby. Now, our most advanced project is called the Safala Gold Project, and that hosts over 350,000 ounces of gold resources already. And there's some really good opportunities to add to that resource base with further work, and we'll be looking to target extensions to the existing mineralisation, tracking historic workings. Now, so what does that look like when we bring it all together in terms of portfolio? Well, like Elena said, we'll have over 1 million ounces of gold equivalent resources across two fantastic jurisdictions, being Australia and Serbia. And with that, we'll also have this really exciting pipeline of additional gold copper exploration projects, primarily being Timok East. The merged group will have around about $8 million in the bank to immediately deploy on the projects. This is money we've got in our treasury already. There's no need to go to the markets as part of this deal. And that's really important because it will give the merged group a really significant runway for value creation by investing that treasury in advancing the projects. And we think there's some really good opportunities to unlock that value in the short term. We'll also have the benefit of combining both the MinRex and the Electrum teams, which across the board have some really significant financial, corporate, and technical experience. We're going to integrate at all levels, and we really look forward to Elena and Michael Thompson joining the merged group board. Now, a quick intro on the MinRex team. So obviously there's myself. I'm a corporate lawyer by background. I've been working in the M&A capital market space. All of that work's been for ASX listed resources companies. And I sit on kind of various ASX company boards across different commodities, but with a strong focus on gold. We've also got Glenn Witten. He's got an extensive background in equity capital markets, banking, and corporate advisory, and he's had a strong focus on natural resources. Importantly, Glenn's worked across Australia, Canada, Europe, and he's also had experience working in the Balkans. And then we've got Ian Shackleton, who's our in-house technical expert. He's had nearly 40 years experience as a geologist. He's worked across all the commodities. He's held roles both in juniors and with majors across all phases of the project development. So all the way from exploration and discovery drilling through to mining projects. And I think finally, as Elena touched on, we'll have the benefit of the ASX listing. Now, we obviously might be a little bit biased over here, but I think Elena's seen what we see is that we believe the ASX provides a really strong valuation environment for this portfolio, particularly when combining over 1 million ounces of gold equivalent resources with advanced gold projects and an exciting pipeline of copper gold exploration projects. The ASX has a really deep and specialist mining investor base. Australian investors are really familiar with copper gold projects at all stages of the development phase. And we're already really heavily invested in Serbian projects, European projects generally, but also in particular Serbia. So in simple terms for us, it's about being listed where we think the capital best understands and will hopefully reward this portfolio.
Thank you, James. Let's talk a bit about synergies and value creation. Elena, what should investors focus on over the next 12 to 24 months?
Well, we still have plenty of work to do on our project. So as we announced even before this merger, we kind of fine-tuned our strategy and started to shift towards gold, which clearly attracted MinRex as well. So we will continue. We've done quite a bit of work on sort of infill drilling program. Right now it's very heavy snow in Serbia, so everything is paused, but we do hope, or we know we will go back into that in February. Merger with MinRex doesn't change much on that front. We will continue with the infill drill program, which is 3,000 meters that is planned. Also a little bit of step out around barrier, which is another 1,000 meters. Where MinRex and the Treasury and the combined company will help is that because of the being so capital constrained, we downgraded all our drilling into RC, although we really needed some diamonds. So now with the expanded Treasury, we will continue with partly RC, but we also do some of the diamond drilling. So that 3 + 1,000 meters will combine, will provide enough drilling to update our resource and the PA. However, we're not stopping there. We're continuing, and the planning at the moment is to immediately or shortly after we finish this first phase to embark onto phase 2 of drilling, another 3,000 meters to drill between Barrier and Liska, which is quite an interesting exploration target. And then in parallel, we will deploy the troops and the teams in Serbia to continue doing regional work and all the field work, geochem, geophysics, on the other targets, in particular Karamanica. So that's all definitely keeping us very, very busy in 2026 on Novo Tlamino project, and the ultimate goal towards the end of this year is to come up with a new PA or pre-feasibility study. And in all of this, there will be plenty of news, obviously announcing the progress of drilling, the drilling results, and as the ultimate sort of goal, the new PA. Meanwhile, Timok, I really need to reassure all of our shareholders that we're not abandoning Timok, and James just said earlier that it's a still very exciting opportunity for everybody. We most likely next week we will announce the results of AMT, that we completed the second phase of the deeper geophysics, the one that goes down to 5 kilometers. they look good, so I can only say that, and this will give us definitive drill targets to drill whenever we feel ready as a combined company. The money is in the treasury, but whenever we feel ready that we have enough, manpower to diverse and to do a little bit in parallel in Timok. So we do have still majors knocking on our doors, not only the BHP, but others, and clearly Zijin is a neighbor. So Timok remains a very, very interesting asset for us that will provide a lot of this, news and a catalyst for, hopefully re-rating of a big, big scale. So other synergies, I really need to emphasize the team. For me, it's such a great, because a lot of you know how much I spend time, and almost, I don't really like to use the word struggle, but on certain days I did struggle being almost on my own. Having suddenly the benefit and the pleasure to work with this expanded team, it's amazing. Ian and Tom. So we're not really changing anything on our side on the ground level. So all of our local team, the Serbian team, the local geologist, Tom, everybody stays. So there won't be any interruption, no delays. We will be recruiting more, obviously, but absolutely no stopping. And Ian fits so well, and so really everything so far has been so smooth. So there is a lot of people synergies. Some of you have always criticized me that I'm not doing enough marketing. Now having Glenn around and the team in Australia, who will definitely deploy a lot of time and in dollars on the marketing and letting the story be known. So many things that are really calling for a big re-rate of Electrum, or whatever the name will be. Initially, it will be MinRex, but we do plan a complete rebrand as well at some point this year. So, that's also quite exciting.
That's fantastic news. James, what are the expected milestones and timing for the closing of the merger?
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. So the merger is subject to a number of regulatory, court, and shareholder approvals, which are all very common for a transaction or a plan of arrangement like this. These approvals are largely on the Electrum side. There's no financing approval, there's no shareholder approval conditions for MinRex. So really what we're going to look to do is we're going to work with Elena and her team over the next little while to finalize and work through these approvals. And that includes in particular the Electrum shareholder meeting and all the documents that will be required to call and hold that meeting. On that, it's probably worth noting that with Elena's help, we've already secured voting support agreements from shareholders, from Electrum shareholders representing about 28% of the register, it's a fantastic vote of confidence for the deal. We really genuinely thank those shareholders for the engagement before we announced. We look forward to working with them in the future. And so we're looking to build on that. Elena and us, we're targeting, I think, mid-March for the Electrum shareholder meeting. So you should see the Electrum circular or the shareholder meeting documents go out towards the end of the month or thereabouts. And all going well, the merger should close shortly following the shareholder meeting. So we're targeting closure within the first quarter of the year.
Okay, thank you. This merger results in an ASX listed entity. Elena, how should the investors view the relevance of this listing? And also as a follow-up question, what does the future look like for a TSX v dual listing down the road?
I might just answer that first, because I know this has been on many shareholders called and asked, and some sold because of that, but most really didn't object. Or we live in a global world, and most of us have accounts on all three markets, being London, Canada, and Australia. Having said so, upon the completion, the moment when we complete, Electrum will delist. We are becoming subsidiary of MinRex, or Australian listed company, and shareholders, all of our shareholders, they'll exchange their shares for the Australian MinRex shares, and the ratio is 7.9. So you'll get a lot of Australian paper. Also, what I believe all of you know, which I think is very important to know, that all of your warrants will be converted into shares, not 1-to-1, of course, but there is a Black-Scholes formula. So we are all continuously speaking about the benefits, and also listening to the shareholders, current shareholders of Electrum, speaking to our biggest shareholders, speaking to some additional, brokers and people who have supported us and who will continue to support us. To do a list, to come back to the Canada will be easy. If we decide to do so, given that we will continue, Electrum will continue, although as a subsidiary, but will still continue to be a reporting issuer for another 12 months. So effectively, we'll have all the papers and everything in place if we decide, or if the need, or if the shareholders feel that, we still want to remain on the TSXV or any other exchange in Canada. Because there are some other considerations, simply the time zones, and some of you do like to follow the and trade during the day, which clearly, if you're only on ASX, is not going to be possible. I was very pleased to learn also of how many of the long-term shareholders we have, who do believe in our future discovery potential and everything we're doing. So as I say, we can't say 100%, but it's quite likely that we will obtain and continue as a dual listed company. Initially, what impact we're already seeing, even over the last 4 days, we are seeing the impact on both Electrum side and the MinRex side in a revaluation. So we really believe that as a combined company, we'll see a very, very strong re-rating and revaluation. Our gold asset hasn't been recognized in Canada. And that's been always a bit of a sore point for me, and clearly Australia is taking a completely fresh look in a new commodity pricing, in a different gold pricing, and there is definitely a lot of value that already exists. So it's even without drilling anything, without doing anything, we do have an asset which deserves to be recognized by the market. So the immediate, what I expect, and as I say, we're seeing the glimpse of it, is the immediate re-rating and the upside for all of the shareholders. All the shares that you will be getting will be free trading shares, including the Americans that have all the ledgers, etc. That's all gone. So that's another benefit, that the shareholders will have the free trading shares, including the ones, all the 4-month hold is coming up anyhow, so that is not any additional benefit. What in Australia, what I expect, obviously there is quite a nice group of brokers which are already in the MinRex. There's shareholders and supporters. We do have a benefit of a peer group. There is a number of companies which are already listed on ASX, which have the assets in Serbia. Not only Dundee and the likes of Dundee, who are now dual listed in Canada and Australia. This is obviously a couple of billion-dollar company. Not even Strickland, which is $500 million, but there are companies of our size which have a similar stage of assets, even lower or younger stage, and they're already trading at 50 million plus. So having the peer group, having the brokers being able to follow us, to analyze us, to put us in a box, which may or may not be the greatest, but certainly will see again provide another element of reevaluation. So altogether, I believe the shareholders, those who do stay, and I hope most of you will stay, will see the immediate benefits. James, I don't know if you want to add something to that, but
No, I think look, I would echo everything you said, Elena. I think you summarized that perfectly. You touched on it a little bit at the start. I think if the North American shareholders are kind of concerned about how they how they will deal with their ASX listed securities. It's very simple. You can either trade on the ASX shares through an existing broker if they've got, or if they've already have ASX trading capability, or the holdings can be transferred to an Australian or an international broker that supports ASX settlement. There's a well-established process for cross-border mergers like this. There's been a number of really successful ASX and TSX or TSXV company mergers recently, and so we'll absolutely work with Elena to provide some clear guides to shareholders in advance of completion, so that we can try and make that transition as smooth as possible.
Right. And I understand Canaccord's actually in Australia too, as a broker.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on to the Q&A part of the webinar, and I've got a couple of questions coming in. But anybody who has, oh, here we go. I got first question here just popped up. Considering the merger, could you please explain how and within the deadline you will settle any payables for any of the companies?
So we do have, obviously that was one of the, how should I put it, skeletons or something that was dragging our share price, because we do have a debt as a junior company, which all of that debt will be cleared upon the merger. That's all very disclosed, and the MinRex has accepted. So all the, we're still carrying the legal bills from our RTO, if you believe it, but that's because it's been quite a hefty bill. So all of that will be settled upon the merger. So that will be done from the joint combined treasury. Could you please explain how you're going to replace the current shares? Yes, so I think we just touched on that. So the shareholders will receive, according to the ratio, which is 7.9, you will receive the electronic, equivalent of DRS, and that you will deposit with your broker. Most of the brokers, certainly the ones that we deal in Canada, from Canaccord and Haywood, and they do have the ability to trade in ASX shares. If the broker is such that is only limited to Canadian exchange, then obviously that, as James said earlier, we will work together with the shareholders to find the adequate broker in Australia for you to be able to transfer your holding.
Okay, one of the questions here is the strategy of TMOC still to bring in a JV partner, and if so, do you think putting a few carefully targeted holes in the system, if you hit something meaningful, could materially improve your JV options?
So we spoke already about it as a kind of combined management and board. The MinRex team is fully aware of all the approaches that we have so far. We don't necessarily need to rush into any JV. My desire was always to drill those first holes, hopefully discovery holes, with our own treasury, because having more of the certainty on the future will allow us to have a better joint venture agreement. Longer term, it's clear that the whole region, the type of the deposit that you see in Timok will require deeper pockets, and this is those deposits are very deep and capital intensive. So at some point in the future, joint venture will be on the cards. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a question for both of you. Why pursue a merger of equals rather than a traditional acquisition?
Do you want me,
Yeah,
Joe? I can handle that one, Elena, if you
yeah,
want
you
to take
can
it. You can
start. Yeah,
take
you
a
can
breather.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, so at least from our perspective, obviously we thought about picking up just the gold assets, but really the synergies that are available by bringing both of the portfolios together and having that really robust resource, but particularly the gold resource base, that was very attractive. The synergies that we can create by combining the teams, we think that was very attractive. Even though when we close the merger, we'll only have the ASX listing, having the benefit of the investor base in both the APAC region and in North America provides an even deeper investment pool, which we will certainly look to leverage. We'll continue to look to leverage in the future. So I think when you combine the teams and the portfolios and our treasury together, it really creates what we think will be a really compelling investment proposition in the merged group. So and I think that really rings true as opposed to someone like MinRex just picking up one of Electrum's projects, because we might have the money to spend on it, but we wouldn't get the benefit of Elena and her team and the in-country experience and the knowledge of the projects and the existing investor base, which is very familiar with those assets. So it really comes down to, for us, all those synergies which we've spoken about over the call, and all those pieces which we can bring together to create what we think will be a really good formula for success in the short term.
Okay, I believe this question. Go ahead. Sorry, Elena.
No, Jamie, I was just looking at the various questions. So the first one is here from Nikolai Langer. Is there a transfer to Dubai in between? No, there is no need for that for two reasons. Why? One is that we don't need to entertain any of the Chinese investments any longer. It was premature anyhow. And secondly, in Australia, so let's say even if Chinese group wants to invest in Australia, you don't have the same restrictions as we had on TSXV, and that's why the whole sort of continuance into Abu Dhabi was sought from the shareholders because of the Canadian Investment Authority and the sort of refusal really for the Chinese investment. So no, so that's the answer. No, we won't be doing that detour. No need for that. Can you hardly discuss whether any other buyers? Yes, there were. I have to say, we had a number of interested parties. The board has very carefully considered everything. We had a number of buyers just for Tlamino, which I have to say none of those prices were adequate. I think if I would be having this webinar today telling you that we sold 200 million project for a 3 million, you would probably shoot me. So that is why we discarded all of that, and we genuinely believe that the opportunity with MinRex or joining forces, merging the company, provides the best for the shareholders. There are a couple of questions, James, on the Black-Scholes and the
Yeah, look, I can see those from Frank.
Yeah.
From Frank here, and thanks, Frank, for those questions. So it might be helpful for me just to summarize how those convertible securities are being dealt with. So, like Elena said at the start, all of the holders of warrants and options of Electrum, they will also receive tradable MinRex shares. So the convertible security holders won't need to pay the exercise proceeds to be able to get a tradable security. What we've done is we have applied a Black-Scholes valuation using assumptions or inputs, which in kind of the way we commonly do here in Australia. So that it relies on things like volatility, the risk-free rate, which is based on the Canada 5-year bond rate, all of the things. So effectively, what we tried to do was we tried to strike a balance between making sure all of those security holders received valuable tradable stock as soon as the merger completed, but also making sure we struck the balance right in terms of how the consideration was split up between the Electrum shareholders and the Electrum convertible security holders. So, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what more I can say in terms of Frank's questions. Really, yeah, I mean, the way we've approached the Black-Scholes valuation is the way it's commonly done here in Australia. We look at 6-month trading history. We look at the Canadian 5-year bond yield, the risk-free rate, and the valuation was done a little while ago when Elena and I first started talking about this transaction. And the reason we did that was there was a few reasons why we wanted to kind of treat the Electrum securities like that. First reason is we've got some options on issue in MinRex, but all of those option holders have paid money to receive those options. So it's not like in Canada where we do a financing and there's free attaching options or free attaching warrants and things like that. Also with the consideration ratio, if we were to just replace those convertible securities with convertible securities in the merged group, what that would mean is the merged group would have over 1 billion options and warrants on issue. Those securities would kind of create a $25 million funding overhang on the stock, and we just think that's not the right structure to make the merged group the best investment proposition that we can, and really position it for success in the short term. So that's hopefully that provides a bit more detail on how the options are treated. Really, at the end of the day, when the merger closes, all of those warrant and option holders will receive tradable MinRex shares based on the Black & Scholes valuation. So that's how we've done it.
Okay, and it looks like there's one of the shareholders has a DRS statement from the last financing. And if I wait 1 or 2 years to add the shares to my account due to tax reasons, how will it be handled, especially after the merger has been completed? So they got a stock certificate and they want to deposit it down the road,
Well,
So I don't know how that gets converted, the transfer agent.
All the certificates from the last financing, because the 4 months hold is coming before we will close. So the shareholder will actually have the shares. He won't just have a DRS, because I think the 4 months hold is going to be lifted around, I don't know, 10th of February, something like that. And while we do plan to close mid to late March. So he won't need to wait. I mean, he will have as everybody else. But even if that's not the case, I believe, James, you would be treating all of those shares equally. I mean, the fact that they're in a 4 months hold doesn't change anything. It's still a legitimate share of that belongs to a shareholder.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll work with your team, Elena, and our advisors in Canada and Europe. And so there'll be depositories where the shareholders can go and deposit the share certificates. We have quite a different system over here in Australia. We don't have physical certificated holdings. It's all electronic. It's electronically settled. So we appreciate in Canada there's, people walking around with physical bits of paper. Those will need to be deposited. We get all of that. Like I said, that these kinds of mergers have been done a lot in recent times. There's a really good recipe for how we make life as easy as possible for the North American-based shareholders, and we'll certainly help with Elena's help. We'll provide some guidance to the shareholders in anticipation of closing to make that process as easy as possible for everyone.
Okay, this question for James: what is the expected financial position at closing? I think you've already answered it, but
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. So I think Eleanor and I have both touched on it, but so when we announced the transaction, we were expecting to have a combined market capitalization of kind of 27, 28 million. With the trading that has happened since we announced the merger, it looks like the market capitalization of the merged group will be kind of mid-30s or even 40 million Australian. So we'll have a much more robust market capitalization position, which should help with the investor appetite in the merged group. We've got the benefit of the MinRex treasury. So at the moment we have a bit over $8 million Aussie in the bank. And by the time the merger completes, we expect, with all the liabilities and all the things being paid on the Electrum side, that the merged group will have around about $8 million Australian in the bank. So again, that creates fantastic runway for us to deploy that treasury on all the portfolio of assets and not have to go back to the markets in the short term to raise money. and we'll have no debt. So we're not bringing any debt into this. We've got a clean balance sheet. All the Electrum debts will be dealt with. So really, we'll have a very clean, strong financial position when the merger closes in a couple of months' time.
That's great. Question for Elena. What are the flagship assets post-merger? I think you've talked about this quite a bit.
Yes, we touched on it, and I want to address this again. Especially, I can see questions from various shareholders, given that a lot of you have invested for TMOC, and what is the what's the timeline, and can we accelerate the TMOC East program? So the answer is yes. TMOC is definitely in works. It will be done in parallel. As I say, because of the commitments we are making to the exchange, to both exchanges, to the prospectus, there is a little bit more emphasis on gold. Also, given that the Australian shareholders really love the gold, love the idea of ability to quickly move from inferred to indicated resources. There is an element of certainty that we are coming into this marriage that they really like, and they want to see that. However, TMOC East, I believe, you will see next week when we announced our results. We do have a very, very ready drill target, and that's we can drill almost as with the treasury we have. Although there will be deeper holes, we can drill that fairly soon. I'm not suggesting this is going to be February or March, but certainly you won't need to wait a year to get more drilling from TMOC. So yeah, definitely. Let's put it first half of the year. We will be back drilling TMOC East as well.
Okay.
I just want to ask, because it's a very big and important shareholder to ask, Frank, you have your hand raised. Is that something that you don't know what to do with it, or there is more questions? Because I think we answered all of your questions. You have one about the Med Gold property. That's Tlamino property. That's the one that we are drilling, and that's the one that's prioritized. And we answered the warrant. So I don't know. Yeah, it's gone. Okay, cool. Right. So thank you, Frank. All good. Jamie, back to you as a moderator.
Okay. This question for both of you. It's around synergies and value creation. What are the key synergy investors should expect with the merged entity?
Clearly, it's still, I like to put it on people, because what we are getting is the incredible support and boost of our ability to tell the story, to be heard. I don't want to just say marketed or promoted, the word I don't even like. But I believe with the experience and the presence in the market of MinRex team, not only in Australia but worldwide, especially Glenn, he lived abroad and in Europe and done a number of deals in Canada. So I think that's very, very strong marketing will be implemented, and investor relations. And then obviously Ian and his geological input is hugely valued. So that's something that we are seeing the benefits in creation of the budgets and the sort of fine tuning the exploration program. A lot of it is gelled with money, so there's no two ways but to put it this way. I mean, the biggest or one of the biggest synergies is for us, access to the capital. But as I like to say, this is not just any money. It's the money that comes with benefits. It's kind of money that comes with the additional aspects of it, principally in people that are coming in, additional project, and our ASX listing. So that's what I see as the biggest synergies. James, do you want to add something?
Yeah, Jamie, that sort of follow-up questions related to that. So the North American market, a lot of retail investors. Australia, with the ASX exposure, has big institutional capital. Could you talk a bit about how that really will drive the company and stuff like that with institutional money?
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. I mean, Elena's summarized it perfectly already. The Australian market has a really deep network of institutional capital. A lot of that's driven by our super fund regime over here. And we're supporting that network of institutional money. There's advanced networks of institutional, wholesale, and retail broking. There's a really deep resource specialist retail investment group as well. And the Aussie investors are really comfortable investing in gold copper projects at all stages of the development cycle. From the very early stages, like Elena touched on, there's some really fantastic comparables that will be unlocked with an ASX listing to some ASX junior companies that are operating in Serbia. Their projects are much earlier stage than Tlamino, and they certainly don't have the blue sky potential that is presented by TMOC. And the ASX comparables go all the way down the path to those companies we all know, Adriatic Dundee, Strickland, all of that. So we think with the investor capital that's available in Australia, the investor appetite of both the sophisticated and the retail investors, I think the shareholders of both groups, but in particular the shareholders of Electrum, you can already see the reaction of the Australian market to the deal. It's been very positive. There's been a lot of liquidity in the stock. The share price has gone up. It's a fantastic vote of confidence for the deal, and we expect that to continue. And I think really the beauty will be with the ASX listing, the kind of ASX premium we call it over here on these assets. The Aussie investors should understand Tlamino and TMOC as good as any of the investors in the world. They will recognize the value in those assets, and with a strong balance sheet and the cap, with these assets in the portfolio which aren't now capital constrained, I think that creates a really exciting proposition. And we really, me personally, I really look forward to working with Elena over the next kind of at least the next 6 to 12 months and executing this program that we're all talking about, which is drilling at the gold project around Barre, chasing extensions and increasing the resource confidence. It's chasing the blue sky at TMOC. It's adding to the resource base on our existing projects over here. It's doing all the things, which should create a lot of really exciting news flow for investors. It should create a lot of good things we can keep talking to you guys about. So yeah, we're really excited.
Okay. One of the questions, what will the pro forma share count be post-merger? I guess it's sort of a rough number.
It'll be 2 billion. So effective, because it's a merger of equals, MinRex has got about 1 billion shares on issue now. So
Yeah.
the shareholding post-close will be shared almost 50-50. So yeah, it effectively doubles, and that will be held
Okay.
half by the MinRex group and half by the Electrum group.
Okay. Question for both of you. Will there be ongoing communication with the North American investors? Obviously, yes.
Yes, very much so. Not just North American, Europeans as well. We will continue remaining close to all of you who are still shareholders, and especially if you continue to be our shareholders. As I say, we are very, very actively evaluating and doing the numbers to see how much it would cost and to maintain the dual listing. Because after all, we are in a very interesting times of the world, and just really we're truly global when it comes to the capital markets and the mining capital markets. So I continue to live in Europe, and the projects are European. So I think we will definitely be remaining very close to all of you who remain shareholders. While Jamie's looking into another question, I just want to emphasize again, because there's quite a few questions about TMOC and are we going to keep that only as a copper optionality? No, this will be a truly, as somebody put it here, truly genuinely balanced copper gold company or gold copper company. It's really one thing that we need to do, and I hope you understand that. We need to to get our valuation right. We need to be in a position to be recognized by the market. The gold is 4,500 ounces, silver 75. I mean, it's absolutely, it would be silly not to take a benefit of the assets that we have. And meanwhile, while we are doing the work on the exploration in the blue sky. So the answer is yes, we will be genuinely balanced gold copper company.
Okay, that's great. We touched earlier on the makeup of the board. Maybe James can talk a bit about, some of the board members, their backgrounds, and then we have Elena and Michael joining the board.
Yeah, so Jamie, I think I mentioned at the start of the webinar. So we'll be integrating the teams at all levels. That will be across the technical teams, Elena's in-country team, and also at the board level. So we've got the existing three directors of MinRex, which is myself. I'm a corporate lawyer by background. I think I touched on that. We've got Glenn Whitten, who's got he's a capital markets, banking, corporate advisory guy. He's worked across Canada, Europe, Australia. He's very experienced, got deep networks, and he's had experience with assets in the Balkans as well. And then I think I touched on we've got Ian Shackleton as well, who's our in-house technical expert, 40 years plus as a geologist across all commodities, all range of the cycle. So we've got our MinRex team. Outside of that, the MinRex team is very small. So we have, I think there was a question I saw pop up, how are we going to manage the combined group, corporate and overhead? And I think one of the benefits of the MinRex structure is we're a very small and focused team. We've only got one full-time employee, which is Ian. So there's a lot of room in the structure for a merge group team and a combining or a integration at all levels. So at the board level, we'll be welcoming obviously Elena and Michael Thompson to the board, and I think that provides a really good balance of continuality with the knowledge of the project and the relationships with the investors and the access to the knowledge base in around Europe and also in Canada. And then that coupled with our kind of Australian focus, but also international experience with the MinRex directors. I think it'll be a fun team to work with, and I think it'll be a really complementary skill set at the board level. And we'll obviously work to build the right balance of people both in Australia and in Serbia so that we can progress the full portfolio in kind of an aggressive but a systematic and responsible way.
Thank you. Before concluding, I just want to remind investors that today's discussion contains forward-looking statements subject to risks and uncertainties. Please refer to public filings on SEDAR+ an announcement for full disclosure with regards to Electrum Discovery. And do you guys have any closing remarks do you want to bring up before we head out here?
I just want to say, because there were some questions that we didn't answer, not because we didn't want to, but there was no time. Some very granular. So there was a question about the RS certificates that was even before IPO. Please do get in touch with me. Any of those we can answer. We can deal with any of those, especially which are very practical issues. So feel free to speak, as we have been very busy over the last few days, and I'm grateful for all of you who reached out and asked the questions. We're very excited about what the future holds. For me, it's absolutely transformational moment because the company has now the money, it will have the money, it has the assets, it has the team, it has the people. And the markets are continuing to be very strong. So it's really going to be an amazing year. And I hope you all stay with us and you will see the fruits of the benefits of your investment, which we like to believe it will be 5x minimum and 10x later in the year. So that's for me.
Thank you. It's great.
Jay.
Thank you, Elena and James, to all investors who joined us today. As a reminder, the replay of the webinar will be available via link on Electrum website later today after the event. We appreciate your interest in this transformational merger of equals and look forward to updating you on future milestones. Everyone have a great day, and that concludes today's webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.